What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JohnnyKpicks. And in this video, I'll be going over my full card, picks and predictions, along with my bets that I have so far for UFC Vegas 62, Grasso versus Araujo. As always, please hit that like button for me, and if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button as well, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams. So UFC Vegas 61 seems like forever ago again, because we had 1 week off, fights, and then another week off, and now we're back to our fights this week. It's messing up my whole system. I'm sure it's messing up yours as well, but I'm glad we're going to have a good 6-week stretch right here, I think, and we should have a lot of good cards coming up, especially UFC 280. But for my picks from UFC Vegas 61, I ended up going 6-5 on them, and for my bets, I ended up losing minus 1.65 units. So as you can see, it wasn't the greatest night for me. There was a couple bets that I thought were really good, like the Mackenzie Dern bet that I had. She looked really good in her fight when she was on the mat. She had a few opportunities to get that submission, but she just couldn't get it. So I'm okay with losing that bet. I thought that was still a good bet to do. Another bet that I had that lost was the Castaneda moneyline bet. He looked really good in the first round. He almost got Santos out of there a couple times because he was wobbled, but for some reason, I don't know if he blew his load in the first and just gassed out in the second, but I did hear after the fight that he had bronchitis, I guess. Don't know why he fought that fight with that illness, but he did it anyways. He almost got the win, but again, I thought that was a good bet as well, even though it didn't look like it. And the couple bad bets that I did do was I bet Jocko on the money line and the over 2.5 in that fight as well. And Jocko looked horrible. That was a very bad bet. Allen came out. He impressed me. He did what he needed to do. I was very questionable with his fight IQ, but in that fight at least, he looked really good, and he got the submission. But all right, guys, let's jump into my picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 62. The first fight we have is Mike Jackson versus Pete Rodriguez. Jackson is 1-1, 37 years old, 6'2", with a 74-inch reach. And Rodriguez is 4-1, 25 years old, 5'9", with a 73-inch reach. All right, so, well, here we are with the first fight of the night that probably shouldn't even be in the UFC, because I don't even think this fight has the potential for a main event or co-main event in a regional scene, but both these guys are mainly strikers. Jackson's going to have the height and reach advantage, a little bit of a reach advantage, but he's not very good. As you saw in the last fight when he fought against Dean Barry, he basically had to get that disqualification win, otherwise he was going to lose, and he got lucky. And I'm not saying Rodriguez is much better than him, but he does show more promise, more talent, more potential. He's got good boxing, good power in his hands. He does finish a lot of his fights in the first round. So I think that's how this is going to play out. I don't see Jackson able to survive anything more than the second round here. And if for whatever reason he does, he might have a chance, because Pete Rodriguez has never been out of the first round in his professional career, so we'll see what happens here. But I'm going to go with Rodriguez. I just think he's the better fighter, and that's not saying too much. I do think he'll be able to get the knockout here in the first round. So with my pick, I'm going to go with Rodriguez, knockout in the first round. Next fight we have is CJ Vergara versus Tatsuro Taira. Vergara is 10-3-1, 31 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. And Taira is 11-0, 22 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach. So this is going to be a fun fight here. Vergara is a well-rounded fighter. He mainly likes to stay on the feet, though, but he's got solid striking. He's very durable. He's got good wrestling when he uses it. He does like to push forward as well. And with Taira, he's very well-rounded as well. As you've seen in his last debut fight, he's got good striking. He's very composed for a young fighter. He's got very good grappling and very good submissions as well. So in this fight, I'm going to go with Taira to win this one. I just think he's a little bit more well-rounded than Vergara, especially on the mat. I think Taira's grappling is way better than Vergara's, and I think he's going to be able to get this fight to the mat a couple times at least and just stay either on his back or maybe on top control to work for a submission. If this fight does play out in the feet, I think it'll be fairly close, but I do like Tatsuro's technical striking. He is a little hittable at times as well, but I don't think there's going to be a knockout because, like I said, CJ's very durable on the feet. So with my pick, I'm going to go with Taira to win this one, and I think it'll be by a late submission, maybe late second or third round submission. Moving on up the card, we have Piara Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. Rodriguez is 8-0, 29 years old, 5'3" with a 63-inch reach. And Hughes is 7-4, 30 years old, 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. So this is going to be a pretty good fight, actually. And I'm very interested to see how both these fighters do after their wins. But Rodriguez is mainly a striker. She does have some wrestling and grappling that she can get the takedowns and do some ground and pound, but she likes to stay on the feet. She's got decent technical striking and good power in her hands. And with Hughes, she's shown in her last couple fights that she's worked on her wrestling. She's got very good takedowns. She's very tough, but on the feet, her striking is a little bit lackluster. It's not the greatest. So I do think Rodriguez will have the edge on the feet. But on the mat, I will give that to Hughes. She does have good takedowns and, like I said, good wrestling. And she's shown good ground and pound as well. But Rodriguez does have decent takedown defense, so she should be able to stuff the majority of those takedowns. And another thing too, like I said, Rodriguez does have good takedowns in wrestling too, and she should be able to get down Sam Hughes here because Sam Hughes' takedown defense is like 41%, so it's not the greatest. But I do think this fight will end up playing out closer than the line says, but I'm going to go with Rodriguez here. I just like her a little bit better on the feet especially, and she can use her offensive wrestling to get Hughes down, and that will negate Hughes' offensive wrestling if she can do that. So with my pick, I'm going to say Rodriguez wins this one, and I think it'll go to judges' scorecards by decision. Next fight we have is Rafael Assuncao versus Victor Henry. Assuncao is 27-9, 40 years old, 5'5" with a 66.5-inch reach. And Henry is 22-5, 35 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Okay, so Assuncao is a solid fighter. He's got good striking, and he can mix in the takedowns here and there, but mainly he's been a striker as of late. And with Henry, he's mainly a striker as well. He's got good technical striking, he's got good pop in his hands, and he also likes to push forward a lot. But let's get to the little red flags here. So Assuncao is getting up there in age. He's 40 years old. He's on a 4-fight losing streak, and in his last 2 fights, he's been knocked out twice. So I think he's starting his decline in his career, and I don't know if this is going to be his last fight or not, but I was very impressed with Henry in his last fight against Barcelos. He looked like the better fighter. He throws a lot of volume. He's got good pop in his hands, like I said. And if this fight does get to the mat, Henry does have good grappling, so he can get a submission too, maybe like a club and sub. But I really like Henry in this fight. I think he'll be able to push the pace and maybe tire out Assuncao in the first round. And then once the second round hits, I think it's going to be a Henry all day. He'll be able to get him out of there in the second round, whether it's by a knockout or even a club and sub type of thing. So with my pick here, I'm going to go with Henry to win, and I'm going to say by second round knockout. Moving on up the card, we have Nick Maximov versus Jacob Malkoun. Maximov is 8-1, 24 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach. And Malkoun is 6-2, 27 years old, 5'9" with a 73-inch reach. All right, so we got a wrestler versus wrestler matchup here, and both guys are wrestlers. That's pretty much all they do. Their striking isn't the greatest, but I will favor Malkoun here. I do like his boxing just a little bit more than Maximov's striking, but like I said, both these guys go for takedowns. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets that takedown first and whether or not they can reverse each other, sweep each other, get up on the feet, and go for their own takedowns here. But I've been going back and forth on this one, and it's so close for me. It's like a 50-50 fight because both these guys are almost identical with their styles. But Maximov will be a little bit bigger than Malkoun, but I do think Malkoun's a little bit tougher. He's a little bit stronger as well, especially when he's on top. So I'm going to roll the dice here. I was leaning Maximov at first, but I'm going to go with Malkoun. After watching his last 2 fights, I've seen some progression that I liked in his fights, even though he lost against Brendan Allen in his last fight. He could have won that fight if he just did a little bit more when he was on top. But like I said, this fight's going to be really close, and whoever wins, it's going to go to decision here. It might even go to a split decision. But with my pick, I'm going to go with Malkoun to win this one, and I'm going to say by decision. Next fight we have is Mana Martinez versus Brandon Davis. Martinez is 9-3, 26 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. And Davis is 14-9, 32 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. All right, so this is one of the fights that I'm really not too sure on, but both these guys are strikers. Davis can use some wrestling and take down Martinez because Martinez's takedown defense is not great at all. But I do think this fight will mainly play out on the feet. Both guys are kind of hittable at times. They both got solid striking, like I said, and I don't know who to pick this one. I'm gonna lean with Martinez because he's the younger fighter. I've seen some good stuff with him, especially later in the later rounds against Ronnie Lawrence. He did look good in the third round when he was getting dominated in the first two. With Davis, though, he's getting up there in age. And he hasn't looked that great. In his last fight, he got knocked out. So I don't see a knockout here. Martinez doesn't really have like that KO power here. But like I said, I'm going to go with Martinez to win. And I think this might be another fight that might end up playing out very close and go to a split decision, but I'll say it's going to be by decision. Next fight we have is Misha Cirkunov versus Alonzo Menefield. Cirkunov is 15-8, 35 years old, 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, and Menefield is 12-3, 34 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach. Okay, so this fight will be fun to watch for however long it lasts. But Cirkunov is a very good grappler. He's got very good submissions. He's very strong when he's on top control, but his red flags are very noticeable. It's very chinny. His cardio is very suspect, especially after the first round. And honestly, I don't know if he should be in the UFC anymore. And with Menefield, he's a solid striker. He's more of like a power striker. He doesn't really have the best technical striking, but if he lands on you that one time, you're going to go down. He does have good wrestling as well, but I don't think he's going to use it in this fight. The best path to victory for him is to keep it on the feet, and he just needs one punch here. Just one. And once that happens, Misha's going down, and that's how I see it. I'm going to go with Menefield to win. But I will say, though, Misha is live for a first-round submission if Menefield puts himself in a bad situation, so Misha can get like a guillotine or some kind of arm bar or something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Menefield will play safe and keep it up on the feet here. So with my pick, I'm going to go with Menefield to win by knockout in the first round. Moving on up the card, we have Dushko Todorovic versus Jordan Wright. Dushko is 11-3, 28 years old, 6'1", with a 74-inch reach. And Wright is 12-3, 31 years old, 6'2", with a 77-inch reach. All right, so fight number 2, that'll be fun to watch for however long it lasts. But both these guys are mainly strikers again, and they have powerful strikes, and they're KO guys. But both these guys also have very questionable chins. I will say Dushko may have the better chin of the two. His knockouts don't seem as easy as Wright, if you want to say. I know Dushko's been knocked out by like a spinning elbow and a couple other weird things, but Wright's been knocked out with just punches, like easy straight punches to the face. So, and also Dushko does have good takedowns and good ground and pound when he's on top, so he does have that option. I think with Wright, he's mainly going to play it on the feet. He's not going to go for any takedowns or anything like that. But he is like a missile when he goes in there. He goes straight for the knockout right away with knees, with elbows, with kicks, with anything you could think of. So Dushko's going to maybe want to try to land that counter or get that takedown early. And I think once he does that, it's going to be over. Or Wright's going to land that one punch and get Dushko out of there. So either way, this fight's going to end in the first, but I'm going to go with Dushko to win this one. I do think he has more options to win this fight, and especially if he gets that takedown early and gets on top mount. With my pick, I'm going to go with Dushko to win by first round knockout. Next fight we have is Askarov versus Brandon Royval. Askarov is 14-1-1, 30 years old, 5'6", with a 67-inch reach, and Royval is 14-6, 30 years old, 5'9", with a 70.5-inch reach. Okay, so this is definitely fight of the night for me. I'm kind of shocked this isn't headlining a fight night or even co-main event of a fight night at the very least, because this is a very good fight. But Askarov is a very good wrestler. He's got solid striking as well, but he wants to get this fight to the mat as quick as possible. He's got good takedowns. He's got pretty good grappling and submissions too. And with Royval, he's kind of unorthodox with his striking. He likes to do a lot of spinning elbows, kind of make you go backwards and land some high kicks, stuff like that. But sometimes he can be a little too aggressive. and his opponents could either clip him or get takedowns very easily. And that's the one worry that I have with Royval here. He's a finisher, don't get me wrong, but Askarov, I think, is the more sound and technical fighter overall. And I've kind of been going back and forth with this one because mainly Royval's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I always root for him. But I think this is a very tough matchup for him. He can win this fight, though, but I'm going to go with Askarov to win. I just think his wrestling and the ability to take down Royval is going to be too easy at times, and I do think he'll be able to stay safe once Royval's on his back trying to go for submissions like arm bars, arm triangles, and guillotines. So I think Askarov is a little bit too technically sound and safe when he's on top. There is a chance for Askarov to finish this fight late in the fight, but I don't think he'll be able to, and I think this will go to decision. So with my pick, I'm going to say Askarov wins this one by a decision. All right, co-main event time here. We have Jonathan Martinez versus Cub Swanson. Martinez is 16-4, 28 years old, 5'8" with a 69.5-inch reach. And Swanson is 28-12, 38 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. All right, so this is a very interesting fight here again. Both guys are mainly strikers. Martinez has very good leg kicks. He likes to push the pace and keep his opponent moving backwards. And with Swanson, he's got very good boxing. He's got decent kicks as well. But this will be his first fight moving down to bantamweight, so I'm interested to see how he's going to look, if he's going to be able to make the weight, if his cardio is going to hold up. But he does have good power in his hands, and Martinez has shown in his fights that he can get rocked and knocked down, even if he's looking very dominant in those fights. So this is a tough one for me. I've kind of gone back and forth, but I'm just going to go with Martinez here. I just don't know how Swanson's going to look in the bantamweight division. I know he's got the power there, and potentially he can get that knockout against Martinez, but I think Martinez will be able to stay safe for the majority of this fight. He'll be able to use those leg kicks early and maybe slow down Swanson as well. And if that happens, I think Martinez should win by decision fairly easily if that happens. With my pick, I'm going to go with Martinez to win, and I'm going to say by decision. All right, main event time here. We have Alexa Grasso versus Vivian Araujo. Grasso is 14-3, 29 years old, 5'5" with a 66-inch reach. And Araujo is 11-3, 35 years old, 5'4" with a 68-inch reach. All right, so like I said, I kind of wish that the Askarov-Royval fight would have been on the headliner, but this is a pretty good fight. Grasso is mainly a striker, has very good technical boxing. She does have some decent grappling, as we saw in her last fight against Wood. She got the submission in the first or second round, I can't remember off the top of my head. And with Vivian, she's very well-rounded. She's got good wrestling and good takedowns. She's got very good striking. She's got some power in her hands as well. But as the fight goes on, she does tend to slow down a bit. And this is a 5-round fight, and she's never been in a 5-round fight. So for me, I'm going to go with the more technical striker and the fighter that does have the better cardio, I think, and that's going to be Grasso. I think she'll be able to survive the first 2 rounds. And once that 3rd round hits, I think she'll be able to win rounds 3, 4, and 5 at the very least and win by decision here. There is a possibility that Vivian does get that knockout or submission maybe early in the fight when she still has her cardio, but I think Grasso will be able to stay safe on the feet. And if she does get taken down, she'll be able to stay safe as well. So with my pick, I'm going to go with Grasso to win, and I'm going to say it's by decision. All right, guys, those are my picks and predictions. So let's jump right into my bets that I have so far for UFC Vegas 62. So the first bet I have is kind of a sneaky little over-under play here. I bet 1 unit on the under 2.5 rounds in the Henry Assuncao fight, and I got that at plus 130. So as I said in my breakdown, Assuncao's getting up there in age. He's lost 4 in a row, and his last 2 fights he's been knocked out. So I think Henry should be able to push a pace on him, tire him out in the first round, and potentially get that knockout either late in the first or in the second or early third. Sometime between there, I think he'll be able to get a finish because, like I said, I don't think Assuncao will be able to go all 3 rounds, and I see Henry dominating in this fight. The second bet I have is another over-under bet. I bet 1.25 units on the under 1.5 rounds in the Menefield Cirkunov fight, and I got that at minus 110. So I have no idea why the line is only minus 110 in this fight. And honestly, after I put that bet in, I seen it at plus 100. But I think that there's no way this fight goes over 1.5 rounds. And one way or another, whether it's going to be a Menefield knockout or a Misha submission maybe in the first round, like there's just no way with Misha's cardio that he's going to last over 1.5 rounds. I think Menefield should be able to get that knockout. And if not, Misha will get that sub because Menefield put himself in a bad situation. And the third bet I have was supposed to be a 2-leg parlay, but I had the over 2.5 rounds in the D-Rod Magny fight, but that fight got canceled. So now this is just a straight bet, which is going to be the under 1.5 rounds in the Dushko Wright fight. And I got that at minus 195. So again, this fight's not going over 1.5 rounds, and I don't even think this fight will get out of the first round. One of these guys are going to get KO'd. I'm going to go with Dushko getting the knockout, but with this bet, I don't mind whoever wins. So one of these guys is getting that knockout early. I was actually thinking about putting another unit down on this, but maybe later in the week, I'll put another unit down just to try to win back a full unit. And the last bet I have is a 2-leg parlay. I bet 1.25 units on the over 2.5 rounds in the Malkoun Maximov fight. And I also have Taira winning on the money line, and I got that at minus 101. So as I said, with Malkoun and Maximov, I don't think either of these guys are going to finish one another. They're both wrestlers. They're both going to take this fight to the ground. That's where the majority of this fight is probably going to take place. And both of them aren't really finishers, so I think this will be over 2.5 rounds pretty easily. And with Taira, I just like this guy overall. I think he's the better fighter in this matchup. He's going to have a huge edge with his grappling, and I think he can potentially get a late round submission. But if it plays out on the feet, it'll be a little closer. But I do think Taira will win this one, whether it's by a late sub or decision. But alright guys, those are my picks, predictions, and bets so far for UFC Vegas 62. Thank you everybody for watching, and please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Also, be sure to check back in the comment section of this video, or you can check my Instagram for any added bets that I place throughout the week. I hope everybody enjoys the fights this weekend, and until next time, happy fight night!